moment I finished nailing the last board on my new barn, she came storming across the field like she owned the whole county. No hello, no question. She just pointed at the barn and shouted, "That structure is on our HOA land. You have 1 hour to tear it down." Her voice echoed like she expected the world to salute her. I stared at her, covered in dust, trying not to laugh, because this land had been in my family long before her HOA even existed, but she wasn't done. She pulled out a paper with a shiny fake stamp and slapped it against my chest. "This is an official removal order," she said like she was some kind of sheriff. The paper wasn't even straight, ink still smudged. I told her calmly, "Ma'am, this is my land. I've got the deed." But she stepped closer, eyes full of fire. "Not anymore. We expanded our HOA last year. You're inside our zone. That barn is illegal." She said it like she expected me to drop the hammer and run inside crying. Instead, I picked up my toolbox and walked toward the barn. That made her lose it. She pulled out her phone, dialed fast, and yelled loud enough for half the neighborhood to hear, "Send a unit. He's trespassing on our property and threatening me." That word, unit, made me pause. Not cops, a unit. Something felt off. Within minutes, a black SUV rolled up. No plates, 2 men inside wearing matching jackets that were supposed to look official but didn't match any agency I knew. One stepped out and barked, "Sir, step away from the barn. This land falls under HOA protection. You're being removed." Karen folded her arms like she'd summoned the FBI. But when one of the men tried to handcuff me, I didn't panic. I just looked at him and said quietly, "You sure you want to do that?" He hesitated. Something in my voice made him pull back. Karen jumped in front of him, screaming, "He's bluffing! Arrest him now!" And that's when the other man whispered to her, "Ma'am, he's the guy from the file." Her face drained of color. She wasn't supposed to know who I really was. Not yet. Because I wasn't just some guy building a barn. I was the last person they should have tried to push off his own land. And the reason was buried in the county records they never bothered to check. And she was seconds away from finding out the truth the hard way. The SUV door slammed as the 2 fake officers backed away from me, whispering fast like they suddenly realized they'd walked into the wrong fight. Karen spun toward them, furious. "What are you doing? I told you to arrest him." But they didn't even look at her. One of them pointed discreetly at my barn, then at the ground, like they finally understood exactly where they were standing. And who actually owned it. Karen didn't catch the hint. She snatched the fake badge from one man's chest, waved it in my face, and shouted, "This entire block belongs to our HOA. Even this soil. Even that barn. And if you don't tear it down, we will tow every vehicle you own and lock your house by sundown." My jaw tightened, but not because I believed her. Because I knew something she didn't. I had spent months digging through old county plats, dusty deeds, and survey maps from before statehood. What I found wasn't just a detail. It was a bomb waiting to go off. Karen thought she was pushing me off my own land. But the truth was, half of their neighborhood wasn't even on their land. Still, I stayed quiet. Let her talk. Let her dig her own hole. She kept ranting, "You're lucky I don't fine you right now."
"Maybe I'll fine you every day until you leave."
Then came the first real hit. She stomped to the edge of my driveway and snapped a photo of my truck. 2 minutes later, a tow truck rolled up, fast, too fast. Like she'd pre-ordered it. The driver didn't even ask questions. He backed up and hooked my front wheel without a word. My stomach dropped. They were towing my truck. On my land. Karen smirked like she'd won the war. "Consider this your first warning." The tow truck pulled away with my truck still on it, dust rising behind it. I clenched my fists so tight my nails dug into my palms. It wasn't the truck, they could hold it. I didn't care. What mattered was what she had just triggered. Because taking that truck meant I could finally do what I had been waiting for, something I hadn't done in years, something she never saw coming. I walked back into my barn, slid open an old metal locker, and pulled out the one thing that always changes everything. My military ID, not the expired one, the active one. The moment I stepped back outside, the 2 fake officers froze. Karen didn't see it at first, until I held it up and said calmly, "Karen, you just towed a federal vehicle." Her smile collapsed. The men in the SUV went pale, and everything, absolutely everything, shifted. Karen's mouth opened, then closed. Like her brain couldn't decide whether to scream or faint. She finally managed, "That truck isn't federal. It's just some old pickup." But the two fake officers knew better. They stepped back so fast they almost tripped over each other. One whispered, "She's done." "We're out." They rushed to their SUV, slammed the doors, and sped off, leaving Karen alone in the driveway she swore she controlled. She ran after them for a few steps, waving her hands, yelling, "Come back! Arrest him! I'm the president of this HOA." But they didn't even slow down. I stepped closer, calm, steady. "Karen," I said, "this is where it all flips." She kept shaking her head like if she denied reality hard enough it would change. You can't pull rank here. This is HOA property. The board voted. We approved a map expansion." "And you based that expansion," I said, pulling a folded sealed county map from my back pocket, "on a survey filed by your cousin. The one under investigation. The one who didn't read the original land grants." I opened the map on the hood of her car. Her eyes locked on the bold lines showing exactly where her HOA land stopped and where my property began. Not just the barn, not just my house, but half of her neighborhood. "You're lying," she whispered, voice cracking. "No," I said softly. "For the last year, your HOA houses have been sitting on federal protected land, mine, and you trespassed on it today." She stumbled back like the ground itself betrayed her. No, this isn't real." But it became very real when the real sheriff's cruiser pulled up. Lights off, quiet but heavy. He stepped out, held up the report I filed months ago, and said, "Ma'am, we need to talk. We've been waiting for you to cross the line." Karen turned to me like I could save her now. You don't understand. I didn't know." But I'd recorded everything. Her fake notice, her fake cops, her attempt to take my truck, and her trespassing. The sheriff reviewed the footage right there. Karen tried to snatch the phone from him, but he stepped back, expression cold. "Ma'am," he said, "you're being charged with impersonating an officer, filing false reports, trespassing, and attempted property seizure." When he cuffed her, she still didn't stop talking. "You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA president. I make the rules." I looked her dead in the eye and said the one line I knew would live on forever. "You don't make rules on land you don't own." Her legs gave out. She collapsed against the cruiser door, silent at last. By evening, my truck was returned. My barn stood untouched, and the county officially dissolved her entire HOA for illegal expansion and fraud. The families living there weren't punished, they were relieved. They thanked me, some even hugged me, because Karen had been running that place like a kingdom. As the sun went down, I stood on my porch, looking at the land my father left me. My land, my freedom, my right. And I felt something settle in my chest, something solid and quiet. I didn't fight overseas just to lose a war in my own yard. And now everyone knew exactly where the real lines were drawn. The end.